On April 29th of 2025, Giannis Antetokounmpo and John Haliburton got into a very heated exchange. This came after Tyrese hit the game-winning layup to eliminate Milwaukee from playoff contention. The Pacers had just come back from a huge deficit, so his dad was pumped. He came onto the floor and started taunting Giannis. That of course didn't sit well with him and they had to be separated. Therefore, what was the full conversation like? We're going to break it all down in this video, including the before and aftermath. Let's get into it. Up until this point, the Bucks and Pacers had built an intense rivalry. It all began during the in-season tournament when Tyrese Haliburton trash-talked Damian Lillard. He even hit the Dame Time celebration, which sparked real tension between both teams. However, on December 13th of 2023, things escalated to another level. With 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Haliburton got a poster dunk and was fired up. Giannis didn't appreciate that and threw a vicious elbow. Haliburton was confused since he wasn't even talking to him. He said, "What was that?" And Giannis responded with, "I didn't do that on purpose." However, when you look at the replay, you can tell there was some intent. That resulted in a flagrant foul and things only got worse from here. Giannis had just finished the game with 64 points. This was a career milestone for him, so he wanted to celebrate it with the game ball. At the time, the Pacers had a tradition of honoring the rookies after scoring their first points. Oscar was the Pacers rookie and he got rewarded with the reserve game ball. However, Giannis had an issue with that. He thought the Pacers took the actual game ball since he couldn't find it. As you see here, the Bucks staff actually took it, but emotions were already rising. That led to Giannis running into the Pacers locker room. As seen by the video, the Pacers had no plans of giving Giannis the ball. They had the reserve ball and not the official one. Giannis later confronted Tyrese Haliburton, who was the leader of the team. He said, "Go get the ball. Go get the ball. You need to get it." Haliburton was unaware of the situation, so he was just as confused as everyone else. In the end, Giannis got the game ball and it was all an overreaction. However, this was just a sign of how intense this rivalry was getting. They matched up in the 2024 playoffs with plenty of heated moments. Sadly, Giannis never got to play and the Pacers won the series in 6 games. Still, the Bucks had another chance in the 2025 playoffs. This time, Giannis was fully healthy. Tensions were high from the first game, with Damian Lillard telling Tyrese Haliburton, "I'll beat your ass." Unfortunately, Lillard suffered an Achilles injury later in Game 4. The Bucks were now down 3-1, setting the stage for April 29th of 2025, Game 5 in Indiana, with Milwaukee on the brink of elimination. The game was close the whole way and Giannis took over. He had 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 13 assists. All signs pointed to Milwaukee forcing a Game 6. However, the Pacers made a miraculous comeback. They scored 6 points in the next 20 seconds, with Gary Trent turning the ball over twice. Now, the Pacers were only down 1 and Haliburton had the ball. With 5 seconds left, he crossed Giannis and drove past him to give the Pacers the lead. As you see here, his dad was pumped since the Pacers were down for most of the overtime period. He started waving his towel at Giannis as he was inbounding the ball. The Bucks ended up losing the game and Haliburton became the hero of the night. He jumped onto the scores table and his teammates embraced him. However, while this was going on, John Haliburton took things way too far. After the buzzer sounded, he walked onto the court and kept waving his towel. Then he got in front of Giannis and said, "This is what we do. This is what we do." Teammates came in to separate Giannis, who didn't say anything initially. He had just lost another first round series and didn't really know what to do. At first, he thought John Haliburton was just a fan, so he didn't give much of a reaction. However, after he saw Tyrese hugging him on the sideline, Giannis quickly realized that this wasn't just a normal fan. This was the father of an NBA player. John Haliburton kept going and said,
"You got a little action going." And I think Giannis congratulates Tyrese.
At that point, Giannis had enough and confronted John. He said, "Don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect me." John replied, "I got you, I got you, I got you." Giannis then ended the conversation with, "I love you," as John was being separated. However, Giannis wasn't done there. Although it's unclear what started it, he grabbed Benedict Mathurin by the neck and also exchanged words. You can see Mathurin saying, "What? I'm right here. I'm right here." It took a while to separate the two, and it was clear that Giannis let his emotions get the best of him. Now, after going to the locker room and cooling off, Giannis shared his thoughts on what exactly happened.
I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there's can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta tag, and it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the f we do. This. That's very, very disrespectful. Cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
I can definitely see where Giannis is coming from since he came from humbling beginnings. John Haliburton was clearly out of line, and the fact that he was even allowed to be on the court says a lot. Tyrese Haliburton was also asked about the situation and had this to say.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. Basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there. And
this was definitely a mature response by Tyrese, and it was obvious that his dad was in the wrong here. Now, with that being said, the league took action. John Haliburton got suspended by the Pacers and was banned from both home and road games. He later posted this statement on Twitter, quote, "I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again." John also made an appearance on TMG4 News and explained his side.
It might have seemed like I was looking at him, but I really wasn't. I was looking through him. That's right. How I was in the moment. I know it looked like we were looking, like I was staring him down, but it wasn't like that. It was in the moment as if I was looking right through him. And yes, I had the banner in my hand going, and I was yelling, "Yay, yay, yay." He grabbed my hands. He put his forehead on my forehead, and he said, "Don't disrespect me. Don't effing disrespect me." I was not trying to disrespect you, which I wasn't. I did not do that on purpose. I really did not.
Now, a lot of people think this right here wasn't a sincere explanation, and I agree. Saying that you were only looking through Giannis and that you only said quote unquote yay isn't accountability. That interview only made the situation worse. However, Giannis quickly moved on. He didn't speak about the situation ever again. Meanwhile, the Pacers brought back John for Game 4 against the Knicks. At first, he was only allowed to sit in the nosebleeds, but when the finals came, he was back on the sidelines. The Pacers ended up losing the finals in 7 games, with Tyrese Haliburton suffering one of the most devastating injuries in sports history. Thankfully, he had successful surgery and is expected to make a good recovery. John was extremely supportive of his son, and I can't wait to see Tyrese back on the floor. And that pretty much concludes the video. What do you guys think of this altercation between Giannis and John Haliburton? Do you think the suspension should have been longer, or was bringing him back the right call? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I hope everyone has a great day. Peace out.